All right, good afternoon and welcome to the June 23rd Capital Improvements Committee meeting. We'll call the meeting to order and do a roll call. Alderman Blanton.
Here.
Alderman Berger is not here. Alderman Hanson.
Present.
And Alderman Brown, I am here. First item of business is the consideration of the minutes from the May 26th Capital Improvement Committee meeting. Any discussion?
Have to have a motion and I will make it for approval.
Okay, I'd love a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
Fantastic. Tough crowd already today. All right. And let's vote. Alderman Blanton,
Yes, sir.
Alderman Hanson,
Yes.
and Alderman Brown, yes. Next item of business, consideration of draft amendment to City of Franklin contract number 2021-0332, a professional services agreement with Hazen and Sawyer for the additional design of water and sewer line improvements in the downtown area in an amount not to exceed $326,500.
Okay, so this is an amendment to an existing PSA you approved earlier this year. We intend to, and this is one of the projects that we intend to use ARPA money for. This is the design of so the first part of it was the design of the water line in the Berry Circle downtown Lewisburg area. Since then, and Alderman Brown, you mentioned this before, is we've added the sewer to it. So we had back in like Marches, we had a very large flood, which inundated the sewer in that area, and it actually created some areas where it was really visible for us to see some issues. And so we decided to add the sewer. Since we're already going to be closing down streets, we might as well just do all of that at the same time. Mm-hmm. So this is adding the sewer. We've kind of gone back and forth with it, expanding the area. We'd like to do all of downtown. Not super feasible. So we're not hoping to expand it anymore unless we get something seriously, negligent that we need to look at.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, great. Any discussion? Okay, ready for a vote? Alderman Blanton,
Yes.
Alderman Hanson,
Yes.
and Alderman Brown votes yes. Item number 3, consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2021-0300 with 360 Network Solutions LLC for the SR 96 State Route 96 Murfreesboro Road Traffic Signal Improvements Project T-Dot PIN in the amount of $318,667.82.
This and the next item are both two of the vendors we selected through a qualifications-based selection process for our SR 96 or Murfreesboro Road Traffic Signal Improvements Project, the one we have the CMAQ grant for just a touch over $1.5 million. This is to improve operations along the Murfreesboro Road corridor from Eddy Lane all the way out to Arno Road. It's a total of 13 signalized intersections. So this first vendor is the one we selected to do upgraded controllers, automated performance signal measures, so actually get back kind of what the signal health is, what the performance operations are, real time. Adam can jump in on anything else that's really key there, but the main one was the traffic signal controllers. With the big one here was on this one. We also had the emergency vehicle application, so the locator, so it integrates with the Waze mapping application.
Okay.
So when you're driving up and down that corridor, if an emergency vehicle drives on that corridor, specifically fire trucks or an ambulance, something like that, and you have Waze up on your car or on your phone, it'll actually alert you on Waze that an emergency vehicle is on that corridor near you.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of the things that will happen on that corridor as we implement that.
So will we notice better traffic flow from this, or is this more of a study?
No, this is actually, it's physical hardware out in the field. It's actually new controllers. It's a different switch for us, a different manufacturer of controllers, updated style of controllers, updated technology. Overall project, we are implementing new traffic cabinets that allow us to do some different technologies out in the corridor. Allow us to change out some of the signal heads, flashing yellow arrows where we can do some operational changes. There are some places where we can't do that just because of the age of the signal poles or the way it's constructed, and that's not really what this grant was for, was to do an all-out construction. But there are some operational changes you will notice, but one of the big things with this particular specific vendor was the automated performance signal measures was to allow, and I know I'm probably getting some of those backwards with the acronym, but is to allow us to get that data back real time with new detection and to see how the operations are performing on the corridor itself that allows Adam and his team to make real-time changes out there. So we can already make those changes, but this tells us how that corridor is performing in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different than the adaptive system. The adaptive system makes its own decisions, and this system gives us the data, and then we make the decisions.
So you can override it.
Yes.
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 So motion to approve, and then I have a question/comment.
Second?
So, as I work in part of this area, South Royal Oaks, I know they're starting to do, I did some asking the other day what the new digging was for, and I know that we are, it wasn't Mallory Valley this time, it was getting ready for all of the different changes that came along with the development plan for, whatever the name of, is it on the corner of Oak Meadow?
Vintage.
Sure. So the timing of this, because in my opinion, Machatcher Royal Oaks are probably your biggest, busiest intersections that feed off of this. Is it a good time because of how all that's going to be changed right there south of that? Or is it going to be, I mean, is it going to work in concert?
Sure.
As we change the traffic
It's
patterns
something
there?
that, it didn't have to happen at the same time, but it didn't hurt that it happened at the same time. So this is something that will allow us to actually monitor those changes and how they affect.
Okay.
So it allows us to see how the performance changes.
Right.
We'll have more data to know what is happening. So it's almost like having the benefit of having a constant study going on out there. So you're getting more data back to allow us to make smarter changes on the fly. Is what it
So
amounts
what
to.
is the equipment, I guess, North Royal Oaks, in that same corridor? How is it gonna complement or not if you've got new traffic patterns on the south side? Because of the way they're cutting off some of that ingress and egress. How is it comparable, what we have in place there to speak to this, so that it all works in concert?
So the South
You know what I'm
Royal-
trying to say?
Yeah, the South
Trying to
Royal
sound
Oaks,
busy.
Those aren't part of this project, the CMAC project. But the nice thing about that is the data will still show up in the Royal Oaks State Route 96 intersection. So we'll know if there's queuing going on and things like that with our detection devices. So yeah, those intersections south, like for instance Oak Meadow, Center Point, those two on South Royal Oaks won't be in there, but we could see it. We could
Yeah,
get the
because they're
data.
gonna change a lot, because you've reduced the amount of opportunity for people to get onto South Royal Oaks. There'll be less.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how those other main intersections are
That's
gonna
right.
back up now.
And we'll be able to see how those changes, what the results are of those changes.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Now, those changes will happen before this gets implemented, because with
Okay.
federal funding, it does take longer to implement these.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
this is at no additional cost. This is all covered by a grant.
This is 100% federal funds. The only thing, and that there's one exception to that, and it's noted in the memo, is the only exception to that is, once we got the grant, we knew this was a possibility, but we found out the requirement was a hard requirement afterwards. Some of the ADA requirements that were required for like ramp upgrades, some of the crosswalk upgrades that were required, those are 80-20 match, so those cut into the grant a little bit. So there are some minor costs to the city, but at some point, those would have been borne by the city anyway.
Those would have been improvements we did at
some
some point
point.
and just fit it into
It's
the
just when
schedule.
you have a grant that touches that area, you don't have a choice.
Perfect.
Okay. Ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Alderman Bland.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Brown votes yes as well. Next item, consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2022-0064 with Temple Inc. for the State Route 96 Murfreesboro Road Traffic Signal Improvements Project in the amount of $109,962.
This is the second vendor we actually selected based on qualifications, whereas normally we do low bid for construction. So the construction components, we'll just do that normally. We'll go out low bid the cabinets and the actual, the signal heads, things like that. We'll just low bid those, let the low bid contractor come in and do their work. This was actually for specific technology, so we wanted to get the best fit, not the low price. It's important to get the best fit for the solution or the best fit for the problem. This particular component is actually the connected vehicle component. So what you'll actually communicate with vehicles, communicate with the infrastructure. So the reason we selected this particular vendor, one of the primary reasons, we've worked with the vendor before, but one of the main primary reasons was they actually had a pre-built application already on the market that they're using in other places that you can download, or the users can download onto their phone. And they're actually already working with, I believe it's Android Auto, and they're working on a CarPlay application to get that in vehicles, where you'll be able to communicate with vehicles already on the fly. So it's not just getting back data to us, where we can use that, manipulate it, but people who drive through that corridor will be able to see some of the data that we're getting back, and we'll be able to, whether it's potentially to speed up and see, maybe drive a particular speed, drive faster to potentially catch the green band or catch more green lights, slow down. Those kind of things is what you're going to be able to see, or we'll be able to push out over time. So it's those kind of things we could push out to drivers. But connected vehicles, we're in the infancy of those things. But think about some of the communication technologies that are out there in vehicles now when people are hitting their analog brakes. When you're seeing snowstorms out there or wanting to know we're at the tipping point between, are the roads icing over? Well, if we see people hitting their analog brakes a lot, that data is being communicated back to our traffic signals. That comes back to us, well, we know the roads are starting to ice over. That's something we can actually use that data and actually say, yeah, we probably need to get salt trucks out there now. We're seeing analog brakes hit up a lot. So
remember
that's
you guys-
technology that's really cutting edge right now.
I remember you guys presenting this. I remember seeing it was very cool. And just for everyone's concern, there's no enforcement mechanism in any of this.
None at all.
This is
None at
all
all.
learning and all that. Just so we say that out loud, I think it's very cool.
This is
And,
about us providing a lot of the information back to drivers that we already get or that's already available out there.
Yeah.
It's about getting that information back to drivers. And we like this one because that application is already built. It's not something we had to come back and build later.
It's great. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion or ready to vote? Okay. Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
And Alderman Brown votes yes. Okay. It's weird talking up there, isn't it? All right, consideration of, number 5, consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2022-0135 with Walker Consultants for parking count services for downtown Franklin public parking lots in the amount not to exceed $34,900.
This is simply a PSA with Walker to update parking counts downtown. So remember the downtown parking study, this piggybacks on that. And one of the recommendations there was every few years come back and reevaluate how parking counts have changed in the downtown area. This is, that result of that is come back and see how parking has changed in the downtown area. So we're proposing to count our public lots, on-street parking, public on-street parking, and then private lots that are accessible to the public, so the pay lots.
So this isn't tied to that, to the, what we're going to do in the garages. This is a different analysis of even the open lots and all that. I gotcha.
Yeah, this will
Okay.
give us a more
Yes.
comprehensive look, update those numbers, and help us. We've had questions around parking, and of course, it's been up and down with what we've been through in the last couple years. And so it'll give us an updated perspective on where it's being, where we may have challenges and how much, especially paid lots, are being used. Because a lot of times we hear, well, there's not parking. Well, is it free parking or is it any parking? And that's part of this will help us better answer that question.
Yeah, the map will include the pay lots. I think the older study may not have included all the pay lots that we
It
have
did not.
available.
Some of them
now,
weren't
so-
pay lots at the time we did the initial
that's true.
scoping.
Do you count street space where there's not markings, but there is part, I'm thinking like, what runs along Columbia there between Margin and all that? What's the, like, there's a few streets there where there's not markings, but you can park on the
Like-
side.
like
Do we
on
count
Cummins?
that or?
Like Fair Street.
Yeah, do we count any of that or?
We're going to. So anything in the green in the map, we'll be
Gotcha,
counting.
okay.
And some of those are not physically marked spots, but
Yeah.
they are on-street parking. So.
Good question. Did you raise your hand?
I did.
Okay.
But after you.
No, sir, I just was, he raised his hand.
Oh, you're behind me, I can't.
Oh, I do have.
We gotta get you a mirror.
This is very timely because Heidi Hood, who's the Main Street Director for the Heritage Foundation, has brought to us some concerns from the merchants about parking, and so I think it'd be timely to update her and also the business owners and building owners downtown.
Yeah, and this will be in 30-minute duration, so we'll be monitoring how long they're staying there too, not just how the capacity, but how long people are parking for. So.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Great. Ready to vote?
Sure.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Hanson?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Ain't good.
Okay, number 6, consideration to grant water availability for 910 Sunset Ridge.
The map. Okay. All right, so this is availability outside the city limits, north on Hillsborough Road. That the main west and east-west road you see right there is Barry's Chapel Road. This is in the Legends Ridge subdivision. They already have water. This is just, we can't find hard documentation that they've been given availability, so we're just kind of closing the loop on this one. This is,
But there's nothing built there now.
correct, yeah, they're wanting
Okay.
they're wanting to construct a house, yeah.
For one, yeah,
One SFUE. So we recommend approval. They're asking for approval.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second?
I'm constantly amazed at how our coverage is positioned. Like, sometimes we're like beyond grassland. Sometimes, I mean, it's very interesting to me, the places that we serve, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand here, like, all this area had septic failing, and I understand Monticello, but then when we go as far as Old Hillsborough Road, I'm like, what? So it always puzzles me.
When the water districts, they're much more fragmented, or there's multiple water districts
It is.
to look at. So it's just the nature of it.
Yeah, we've been working through solidifying those boundary districts with all our other partners
Gotcha.
to help clear that up a little bit.
Okay, ready to vote?
Yes.
Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Hanson?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, last item is capital projects dashboard and status updates for June 2022. Yes,
The-
sir.
The one thing I'll offer, and you have no reason to drive down there, it's not even one of our projects, but you would have had no reason to go down the road, was Lewisburg Pike since it's been closed. But I will offer that if you haven't been out to Carnton, the bridge is built. It's covered right now. It's covered with stone. They're getting very close to paving, so probably within the next few weeks, next couple of weeks, they'll be out there paving and milling, and so it's covered.
It's like your
They-
pet project, isn't it?
Well, it's very interesting to watch. Once they started uncovering historical
Yeah.
Yeah.
bridge pieces, it gets entertaining for engineers. But they were sodding today, so the bridge is in place. They're moving along at a pretty good clip out there. So it's nice to see some stuff, coming together out there, and we'll get it back open for
I
everybody.
miss
And
that road.
I know a lot of people
Oh,
miss
boy.
that
Yeah, it
road.
will
I was
help
out there on
some
Tuesday,
traffic
and it
flow.
looked like they were close.
They're
Yeah.
moving, so
We still think mid-July is.
that's the last
what
date
they're
they
gonna
gave
hit?
us. Well, yeah.
What is, so I know, I think I have this right, but you can correct me. We finished the budget process. Now we're going to take a harder look at this now, right? Isn't that the
At
capital improvements? Yeah.
capital projects,
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. That'd kind of be a next stage, go back to that, look at capacity. Some of that may be affected by how we approach City Hall. There's all these other elements, and look at what other projects might be, how you want to look at that. Because we classified what's already been approved, where
Yes.
it is in the process, if you want to revisit any of those, as well as any direction you want us to do in terms of bringing additional projects up. So.
Is there a process that is specifically run for that, or is it just a discussion in this? How do you typically run that?
Well, every couple years, we will give you sort of an inventory of projects
You
and
spent a lot of money.
give you a chance. Now, we programmed a significant amount of money in the last 10-year window. So you're probably not going to have as much available capacity to look at new projects, but that's part of why we said here are some projects that you're at a point where you could revisit them. There are others that are too far along. And so it'll be a blend of a revisit of some of the approved 10-year projects, as well as looking at capacity going forward, and then any other projects that have come up since then or that were previously identified but not selected by the board. So it's kind of a thick inventory of projects. So we will take you through that after we're through budget and probably into the fall timeframe.
Okay. Any other discussion items? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. All right, all approved? Say aye.
Aye.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.